All right, class, so today we are going to start a brand new unit. It is called Data and Statistics. This is the very first lesson. I need you to look at the bottom of your page where it says Notes, and we're going to go through a couple of terms first. Term number one, dot plot. So on the line, go ahead and write dot. This uses stacked dots to represent the number of data points for a specific measurement or response. I want you to add a little note here. Just draw a little arrow after this. Dot plots can be used for two different types of data. So it can be numerical or it can be categorical. And we're going to talk about what both of those things mean in a second, but just add that to your notes, please. Numerical or categorical. So what is numerical data? Numerical data is simply numbers. Inside of numerical, we have a root numer, which looks a lot like the word numbers. So one example would be scores on a test. Categorical data is simply words. So for example, your favorite pizza topping is categorical data. We're going to look at the top of your page now, and please reference your notes as needed because you will be using these words throughout. We're going to do question 1 completely together. Let's read it. It says, Tyler asked 10 students at his school how much time in minutes it takes them to get from home to school. Determine if each of these dot plots could represent the data Tyler collected. Explain your reasoning for each dot plot. So the key here is that he's asking 10 students. Circle 10 students. This means that I should have 10 dots because each dot represents one student. I also know that the numbers should be minutes from school. Minutes to get to school. So we're just going to write that off to the side because the problem with some of the numbers we're going to see here is that they are way too big to represent minutes to get to school. So let's look at this first plot. I'm seeing dots that range from 5 to 20. I think that's pretty reasonable that it takes some kids only 5 minutes and some kids 20 minutes to get to school. So what I'm going to do is put a check next to the numbers because my range makes sense. Now I have to check my dots. How many dots should there be, class? Good, 10 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check next to my dots. So dot plot 1 can represent the data. So we're going to circle dot plot 1, and then we're going to write why can it represent the data. The reason why is I have 10 dots, each representing a student, and I have a reasonable range of minutes from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. Make your paper look exactly like mine. Okay, we're going to do dot plot number 2 together as well. So this time I'm noticing a very different range. Instead of 5 to 20, I have numbers from 80 to 300. If I'm thinking about this in terms of minutes, 80 minutes would be an hour and 20 minutes. Does it take any kid an hour and 20 minutes to get to school? No. And my high range is 300. So you're talking several hours. That's practically a whole school day that it takes you just to get to school. So I'm going to put an X next to my numbers because they are not reasonable. My dots, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my dots check out, but this does not pass the reasonable test. So I'm going to cross out dot plot number 2, and I'm going to write my explanation. So we're going to say here that there are 10 dots, just like we know there should be. But instead of reasonable range, we're going to say unreasonable range from 80 minutes to 300 minutes. Dot plot number 3, I would like you to take 1 minute to check the numbers as well as the dots, test whether they are reasonable. Dot plot number 4, do the same thing. In your explanation, you need to include the number of dots as well as whether the range is reasonable or unreasonable. You have 1 minute for 3 and 1 minute for 4. Try on your own now. All right, the video should have been paused. Let's go ahead and go over this. So for dot plot number 3, looking at my range, I see a range here. My numbers are a little bit confusing in number 3 because I'm seeing that some of these are actually negative. So I have here -5, which can time be represented as a negative number? No. So even though I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots, and my range seems pretty good, right? Going from 5 to 18, that's pretty close to 5 to 20 up here, but I have to X my range because it includes negative numbers and time cannot be negative. So even though my number of dots check out, my range does not. So I'm going to cross this out and then I need to explain why. So once again, we know that there's 10 dots, but there's an unreasonable range because time cannot be negative. And I have a dot that says -5 minutes, which does not make any sense. Dot plot number 4, looking at my range, it goes from 5 to 20 minutes. That checks out. Then I'm counting my dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are there 6 students? No, there are 10 students. So dot plot number 4 doesn't work either, but for a totally different reason. Dot plot number 4, I have only 6 dots, which is not okay. 6 dots, reasonable range. All right, let's go into number 2. Here's a list of questions. For each question, decide if the responses will produce numerical data. What's numerical mean again, class? Yes, a number. Or categorical data. What's categorical again, class? A word. And give 2 possible responses. We're going to do A through C together. You're going to try D and E on your own. A, what is your favorite breakfast food? So I could say things like cereal, waffles, pancakes. But if I'm answering what is my favorite breakfast food, I'm going to use words. So this needs to be categorical. And then we're going to say here words. And then we're going to say example responses. We need to give 2 example responses. So I might say cereal and I might say pancakes. That is our response to A. B, how do you get to school in the morning? For how do you get to school in the morning? I'm thinking that we're going to get answers like I ride the bus, I get dropped off. So this is also categorical words. Example responses. We could say bus. We could say car rider. All right. C. How many different teachers do you have? Okay, because this says how many, instead of being categorical, this one's going to be numerical. Words. Example responses. You could say you have 4 teachers. You could say you have 6 teachers. Okay, try D and E on your own. Pause the video. Okay, let's go over D and E. What is the last thing you ate or drank? This is a what question. So I am going to get responses in the form of words. So this one is going to be categorical words. I might say sandwich. I might say milk. Those don't have to be your responses. You could have anything here as long as it's something you can eat or drink. How many minutes did it take you to get ready this morning from waking up to leaving school? Because it says how many, this is going to be numerical numbers. Ooh, I just got a mistake up here. This should have said numbers. Numerical numbers. I'm thinking some people, it might take them anywhere from maybe 15 minutes to 60 minutes. Number 3, write 2 questions that you could ask the students in your class that would result in categorical data. Categorical means words. So above categorical, let's just write words. For each question, explain how you know that responses to it would produce categorical data. So I'm going to write 1 question for you, and then you're going to write 1 question on your own. So let's say question A we'll do together, question B you'll do on your own. Question A, so I want to think, what's something I could ask my classmates where they would have to respond to my question in words? One thing I could ask them is, what month were you born in? Then I need to explain. So I'm going to say here, this would give me word answers, such as January or May. Okay, answer B on your own. You want to write a question, and you want to explain why would that question give you categorical answers. Okay. Hopefully the video is played back. Let's go to B. Write 2 questions that you could ask the students in your class that would result in numerical data. Numerical data is a number. For each question, explain how you know that responses to it would produce numerical data. All right, I'll do the first one for you. You'll do the second one on your own. So I'm thinking we could ask the question, how many siblings do you have? By starting with the phrase how many, I'm guaranteeing that this is a numerical question that's going to result in a number response. So I'm going to say here, this would give me number answers such as 0 or 4. Okay, pause the video, do B on your own. Okay, the last section of this handout is actually review. So for every lesson in this unit, we're going to introduce 1 new thing, and then we're going to go back and do a little bit of review as well. So for the review, I will always start you off with it so that you're not confused, but then you're going to finish it on your own. So it says triangle DEF has vertices. I remember from geometry that a vertice basically means a corner. So it has vertices, or 3 corners, that are at -4, -4, -2, -4, and -3, -1. Okay, I'm going to plot these first 2 points. You're going to plot F. D is -4. I know I have to start on my x-axis, so I'm going over to -4. I'm going down to my y-axis to -4. I draw my dot. Not only do I have to draw my dot, I have to label my dot. So I'm going to label it B. Then I'm going to look for vertex E, corner E. So on my x-axis, I know I go down to -2, then I go down to -4, draw my dot here. This time, I'm labeling that E. Okay, pause the video, draw F on your own. All right, let's go over it. F, -3, 1, 2, 3, -1 here. And then you should have also labeled. So we're going to label that F. Okay, now that we have our vertices, we actually have to draw our triangle. So I'm going to connect my 3 vertices, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then let's go to our questions. A, plot the triangle in the coordinate plane and label the vertices. We have done that, so we get to put a check next to A. B, name the coordinates of 3 points that are inside the triangle. Okay, so I know here that I want to start with my x coordinates. So I'm looking for something inside the triangle. There's only 2 that are at nice, neat intersections here. So I'm actually going to use one of those and then a decimal. So I'm going to start with my -3, because see how that, oh, they're all on the same x line, -3. I'm going to start at -3, and then one is at a point